So, check. Does things work? I hope it indeed does. So we're basically going to do what I already did today. And these were two things. For one, we are gonna talk about Nijisanji, because they opened auditions again. And that after basically two relatively short, one after the other, let's say talent issues, which resulted in, for now, one termination, the Zion Lanza situation, and one's is suspended at this point. So, and I want to talk about why I think that this won't be any kind of exception for Nijisanji, and why I think that this is just part of their long-term strategy as a company. So, as I said, I already talked about it, and I already made things with it. So, we want to talk about a strategy, and to talk about the strategy, we need to talk about market saturation and echo chambers, or fan bubbles if you want. For this, I will do something in this great Photoshop alternative. We don't do we do strokes. Wait, red, don't do fill. Because to talk about filter bubbles, we need to talk about to talk about market saturation, we need to talk about filter bubbles. So I'm going to create some filter bubbles. Just quick. Like this. Like this. This should be enough. So, like we have one bubble for Hololive. Then we are making another bubble for Niji. That's not perfect. I will align things later. And then we will have a bubble that I will make, I don't know, pink. For Vishojo. So that's absolutely great, and that works for us. Just an example. Usually these types of things to analyze filter bubbles are usually three-dimensional. We don't do this now. But what I'm basically trying to show you is that there are overlaps between different filter bubbles, right? There are many people that just consume one thing, right? Like we have people that only consume Hololive. I could do some word thingies too, can't I? Give me a second. And it's black, of course it's black. So we have Holo. We have, I will keep them there straight up because we will write a few things more. Niji. Then we have our indies. And then we have the shoujo. Right? Works for us. Let's put it here. So, back to the topic. We have a lot of people that are consuming just one of these filter bubbles. There are people that like the very idle culture atmosphere thing that Holo does with their talents, with their events, with their concerts, etc. So they are only consuming Holo. The same goes for people that like the way how Niji does things, the way how VShoujo does things, and the way how indie VTuber do things. There are people that are only consuming these particular, that kind of content, right? But because there are similarities between these bubbles, there are also people that consume content of Holo and Nijisanji, or content of Holo and VShoujo, or content of indies and Niji, and so on. And there are people that are consuming 3 or even 4 things, and we're talking about people that do that actively. So we are not considering people that sometimes see a clip of talent from one of the bubbles they are not into. We're talking about goes on Twitch, goes on YouTube and watches their streamer, their creator, whatever. That's basically how these bubbles work, right? So, now we're going over to market saturation. As I said, all of these, let's say, bubbles, we are basically talking about 3 companies. 2.5 company like VShoujo is mostly indies, where they just put an agency over it, but you know what I mean. And indies are a thing for themselves. I don't want to go too deep into this. And we are basically just talking about Holo and Niji. Because both are going in a very corpo-ish direction. So they are the companies that compete with each other the most. And both companies have a very different strategy. Holo's strategy is I basically did something. I did some research. I can show you if you want. Give me a sec. I can even show you the whole thing in full screen. Here we are. Right? I did some research. I tried to look into Hololive and Nijisanji, how they are handling their, let's call it, wave releases, right? Because that is what they are doing. They are releasing talents to make them money. And they do it very differently. So, when we're just talking about EN, Holo EN and Nijisanji EN, we have basically 4 waves plus Iris on the Holo side, right? These here, and these here, and then we have those 2 waves too. These are 5. These are waves of 5 or 4 people. As I said, Iris is different. And when you're looking through it, that seems kind of consistent. 4, 5. Rarely they do 6, but mostly 4, 5. Sometimes they just do 3. In the case of Hololive Indonesia, that's all good and fine. And Hololive's strategy is, I'm very curious what you're going to say, because that's my personal analysis, is they're going for the quality approach. Right? They are going for quality. That's what they want. So what they do is, and that's something where we can go over to the time they are taking from the announcement of auditions. Auditions is the word. I'm, for whatever reason, all the time forgetting it. But we're talking about auditions. The time from the beginning of auditions to the actually debut of their talents. And we're talking here about roughly 6 months. That's the case for Hololive Council. Like that was the begin, February 12th, 2021, and they debuted in August or August 23, like, right? As a German, it's sometimes really weird how Americans are writing their dates. Like, you're weird, guys. 6 months. Same as the case for Holostars 2. July 20 to first to January 8. Again, 6.5 months without Christmas and stuff like that. Again, about 6 months. And we need to consider that there is all included, like the auditions, the evaluation process, they maybe might even do basically different sub auditions, like to find out which of the people would fit to which character, for example. Try to get people together. Maybe for someone it doesn't work and they need to replace that person. And 6 months is an okay time frame, in my opinion. Like, imagine they are spending 1 to 2 months for the whole audition process, and then you basically have about a quarter of a year to learn how to work in a group, to learn your job, whatsoever. What is relevant. Now, what is really different, let's say, to Nijisanji. Nijisanji does it very different. Nijisanji's time frame are Nijisanji EN are about 4 months. If we consider that they take the same time frame for the audition process, we're basically talking about half the time to get into the job. And we're coming later to why. Because what Nijisanji wants is not quality. Nijisanji is about quantity. Right? They don't want to get a rough diamond and then polish it until it is a real diamond. What Nijisanji is doing is they're acquiring talents, in their case, employees. As many as possible, and then they need to polish it until it is a real diamond. What Nijisanji is doing is they're acquiring talents, in their case, employees. As many as possible, and then they need to polish it until it is a real diamond. What Nijisanji is doing is they're acquiring talents, in their case, employees. and basically filter out those that make them problems and are not generating enough value for the company that it would make sense to still keep them. What I mean by that, let's first of all look into this again. That's the audition for Etheria, right? June 18, and they're basically done in October 8th. 4 months. Then we have Xole, August 12th, and they are done December 10th. Again, about 4 months. So, and Nijisanji in and itself already has released 7 waves. And when we are looking at the number of the waves, they are growing. We basically started out with 3, 3, 4, 5, 5, and now we are at 6 members per wave. And I would guess that this will be the case in the future too, and it might grow even more. Might. So, what Nijisanji does is what a lot of big tech companies do. They go for the quantity. They are buying talents. They're buying many talents. Then basically throw all of them on the wall and see what sticks. And then when talents make problems, filter out what makes problems. Problems like, for example, make Twitter freaks rage, or maybe put a sponsorship in danger, damage relationships with something, someone they care about. That's basically the same like when big tech companies are buying up a lot of startups, a lot of smaller companies. Basically grow, and then filter out what either doesn't work or consolidate what they have, but still firing a lot of people, because when they basically put 3 companies together that can work together, they don't need a manager for each of these companies. So that's kind of similar, not completely comparable, but it's kind of similar. And Hololive does, as I said, they invest a lot, right? They're going for the constant number of talents. Invest into them. That's what I said with the 6 month, for example. They invest into them. They also seem to care much more about their talents, at least those that I have seen. And then they make them age like fine wine. That's basically what they're trying to do. They're trying to create idols, of course. That's literally the concept of a company. And they try to make a lot around those idols. Every idol has a lot of value to this company. If Kiara, if a Gargura, if I really have problems, to be honest, sometimes to differentiate between some of the holos, the people, and Nijisanji, to be honest. But I'm more into indie, so sorry for that. Yeah, like, you see what I mean, right? They're taking those people and trying to make a valuable asset out of them for their company, to make them sell merch, make them very attractive to sponsors, make things like the concerts that are part of the whole idol thing, and so on and so forth. But they don't need dozens upon dozens upon dozens of talents for that. Right? Different to Niji. What Niji is doing, and that's a great thing when we are going over to Japan, what seems to have worked for them in Japan is, what they did is, they basically flooded the market with new talents. We have releases of new talents that are sometimes a week away from each other, sometimes just a month, and it basically goes, we are talking about 3 new talents like in a span of a month, right? They are just flooding the market. That's the point when they take them and just throw everything on the wall. That basically goes until 2020, then they're kind of slowing down a little bit. But what it then did is to increase the size per wave. Right? And I personally think that at some point they noticed it doesn't make sense to release more. That's basically when they started to release just 1 new wave per year. And I would guess they also reduced the number of talents just because they realized, okay, the market, the Japanese market for Niji fans is saturated. So they're basically just filling up the empty spots from people that, well, graduated or got terminated. And I think they will try the same with Niji EN. They won't do the releases of their waves in these very short time frames, but they will just have freaking big waves in itself. But what happens then when you have so many talents under the company? And also Holo and Niji treating their talents a little bit different. Like Holo basically takes the talents and, as I said, they are idols. They're taking the talents and putting them on front of the company. They are representatives of Holo EN. Nijisanji does it a little bit different. At least that's my perspective from outside. For me, Nijisanji looks a lot like they try to be a general concept of a company. In a sense that the talents are under the company. As I said, they're treating their talents more as employees than as, for example, idols. And that's absolutely fine. It seems to work for them. Because just due to the quantity of people that are kind of individual, but still, in the best case, try to keep their statements and jokes within a company corpus safe, basically. There is a little bit for everyone. And as I said, that seems to work, but this structure makes it much, much easier for them to say, hey, we have this Excel sheet, we are seeing there are how many talents? 30? Wait, 6, 12, 17, 22. Yeah, almost. No, not almost. 32, right? Am I wrong? Let's say 30 talents, right? If you have 30 talents, you basically are a manager, and the only thing you're seeing is an Excel sheet. You're seeing an Excel sheet with who has the most reach, who does make the most revenue from merch, concerts, from their streams, etc. And who of them doesn't? And what now happens is when one of these talents that are on the bottom, right? Just make it plop. Let's say you have plop, 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 plop. Some of them. Then usually you have a lot of people that are not bad, not particularly good, but they are okay. It's usually the mass. And then you have a few people that are doing really, really good. Let's say you have just a very few people that are doing really, really good. Now, what Niji does is they are doing something very interesting. What they are doing is they are investing in the upper part because they are the talents that seem to be able to stand on their own legs and make them a lot of money. And they don't invest in the lower part because they are not making them money. And what then happens is when one of those talents, which are usually newer ones, because as I said, revenue, reach, etc., that's the shit that matters to them. The newer ones are usually those that have the least amount of followers, generate the least amount of revenue, and so on, because just they are new. When it now happens that are doing stupid shit, it is very easy for the company to say, go away. And this makes absolutely sense for them. For two reasons. A, they when these talents, like for example the Sion Lanza situation, we had several mentionings of making stakeholders uncomfortable, putting something in danger, or making jokes about a sponsor, like the Raid Shadow Legends joke, where they actually had a sponsoring shortly after from Raid Shadow Legends. If a talent might damage the relationships to these sponsors or the overall makes bad PR, like PR is incredibly expensive, right? For example, for every game, usually 50% of the whole budget for a game goes out for marketing. Advertisements, PR, all that shit. We know those low level, low revenue, low value talents do stupid shit, risking the money of the company. They will just be terminated. And that will be something that we will see in the future with Nijisanji too. So what Nijisanji will do in the future, my expectation, is more and more talents until they see that the English market is saturated and filter everything out that doesn't work. And for everyone that gets filtered out, they get new people in trying the same shit. That's my expectation. And that's also the reason why, I personally, I'm per se not comfortable just with the idea of participating in any of these corpos. But in comparison from Niji to Holo, if you have a place in Niji or Holo, how the company will treat you is very different. Because Holo wants you to succeed, right? They're basically taking your hand and pulling you up as high as possible. Niji gives you the hand to put you on step 1. And then you have to go the rest of the steps, and if you're doing great, they might give you a little push upwards. That's what they're doing. All right. And that's basically what I wanted to talk about. Nothing more, nothing less. And it's really interesting to look at these things, because I sometimes think that because Holo established the whole VTuber scene in the West, everybody thinks that, or a lot of people seem to think that because Niji tries to do the same, no, that they're not doing the same. And it's a dumb decision they make for firing their talents. That's what they do, let's be honest. But it's not. They simply have a very different approach. They're flooding the market, throw all of them on the wall, see what sticks, what doesn't stick. Maybe they are throwing it again on the wall, trying to make it stick again, and if not, filter them out, get something new in to throw on the wall again. That's the whole Nijisanji approach. And then basically invest in those that are sticking really, really good. That's Nijisanji approach. But it also means that Nijisanji will filter out more talents in the future, because they will just have more talents at all in general. And yeah, that's basically that's my personal theory, my very noobish, amateurish analysis of the whole situation. And I hope, like, maybe some people get some value out of this to understand why Niji is doing these things. So that's also why they don't invest a lot of money into their new talents, a lot of time, a lot of money into their new talents, for the simple reason that the main expectation is, if they do shit, we will just fire them. Why would you invest a lot of money into that kind of person, right? So, right. Back to chat. Close. That's it for this point. All right, next plan is Serious Sam. I don't know if any one of you knows this game. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But we're going to play it. Let's go. I will try it again, because I already tried to play this game on stream with music on, and the stream basically got killed after 25 minutes or something. My personal and I had the idea, like I thought maybe it was because of the music, right? Maybe it was because of the music. So let's see. But maybe not. So I will just be very brave now and do the whole shit again with music on, because to be honest, a shooter like this, come on, picture, great, because a shooter like this, which is literally a parody of Duke Nukem and it's super fun, works better with some good music in the background. So we're making a profile again. Continue. New game. And what I will do shortly is I will put my browser on the side just to check if I'm still online. Just right, some caution here, of course. And I would say, let's go. We are using also the idea why I'm playing this game. It's basically because I scrolled through my Steam library. I thought, hey, that's a really fun game from 2005, by the way. I clicked on it more or less accidentally. And I saw that it made a patch in 2021, 16 years later, to optimize the game on newer systems. And it's great. They also added a few features. It's absolutely great. I love it. We're going to play on normal, start a game, have fun.
How many times do I have to tell you? He is the one!
If that is our last hope, I don't believe we'll ever get rid of Mental. Come on, look at him. Does anyone say believe that this man can actually save the universe?
Well, it is written that a stranger from a galaxy far, far away will come and rescue us from the upcoming evil. And evil had already come.
Was it also written that he will wear red sneakers?
What do you have against sneakers? You
Red
sneakers.
sneakers.
And you with your ridiculous outfit.
Guys, stop! Let's not forget why we are here. We must contact him now. Concentrate, boys.
You have exactly 5 seconds to explain what I'm doing here, and 2 seconds have just passed.
Please, Mr. Stone, calm down. We can help you in your quest. My name is Rolanda, and these are my brothers, Jebediah and Rajiv.
I'm Sam. Serious Sam.
We are the Syrian Great Council, and we are here to show you the way how to stop Mental. Look. This is Medallion of Power, the only thing that can make Mental weak and vulnerable. It was forged by a blind blacksmith gremlin, and we, the wizards, drew a spell on it, following the instructions in our holy manual, Division 2. It was split into 5 pieces, and those pieces were given to 5 different races. Silvers from planet Medigba, Chiche from planet Shifang, Sixes from planet Magnor, Clears from planet Clear, and Envians from planet Elenier.
But that simply wasn't enough. Pretty soon Mental had all the parts in its possession.
Thankfully, those pieces are indestructible, so Mental can only guard them.
When all 5 pieces become joined again, Medallion will activate, releasing its power and making Mental vulnerable.
Your task is to go to planet Medigba and retrieve the first part of the medallion.
And if you bring this piece back, it could really mean you're the one.
The one?
The one our holy manual, Revision 2, keeps talking about. The one who will save the universe.
Yeah, right.
Well, you should go now. We'll get in touch with you when you finish.
If you finish your mission.
No one's gonna believe this. Oh well.